desperate days, heroes are chosen, not just for their courage or for their skills. Heroes are chosen by fate, by their own destiny. And within this fragile choice, great hopes and dreams reside. And one hero will emerge to shoulder our darkest burdens and lead us all to a brave new world. Adventures from the past will determine the course of the future.
We're in the future, Dax. This horrible place is our world.
And a world transformed by darkness
Why is the Baron giving eco to metalheads?
will become the challenge of a lifetime.
Questions like that could get a person killed.
Naughty Dog presents the next generation of adventure.
Something's happening to me. I can't control it.
And reveals the secrets of a hero's destiny. Triumph, betrayal, revenge. Jack and Daxter.
Where would you be without me, eh, Dax?
Well, Jack, I probably wouldn't be 2 feet tall, fuzzy, and running around in a sewer without a pair of pants.
A new legacy begins.
Target acquired. Watch 2. Incoming MiG. He's got a locker. Infantry ahead! Fire in the hole! Target down! Target down! Target down! Cowboy 3. Alpha 1, this is Cowboy 3. We are on station and ready to help out. Over. Roger that, Alpha 1. Sit back and enjoy the fireworks. Over. Infantry ahead! Target acquired. Watch 2. Target down! On me! On me! Target mag! Target mag! Target down! Infantry ahead! Coming through! Get back!
For years, it waited inside him.
I need to stay calm. I can't let him out. Don't make me angry. You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
All it needed was a way out. This summer, one man will find out you can't keep things locked up forever. Finding the cure will take the stealth of Banner.
They say no one ever escaped from Alcatraz. I wonder how many people have tried to break in.
And the power of the Hulk.
I've been a victim too long.
An experience beyond the film.
Expecting someone else?
In a world of classic villains.
I killed the Hulk!
45 devastating attacks. 25 destructible environments. Smash up to 10 enemies at once. From Vivendi Universal Games comes the Hulk.
Welcome to Dulag Luft 10. The rules here are simple. It is forbidden to be outside your hut during the night. Violation of this rule will result in your suppression and arrest. Carrying a weapon, attacking a guard, or stepping into the warning wire is both forbidden and fatal. Violation will result in you being shot.
We've taken damage!
Every hero has a humble beginning. Every quest has a secret purpose. Every life has a true destiny. Discover Sting. Awaken the Ring. Become a legend. Before the Fellowship, there was only one. The Hobbit.
see it?
You can ride it.
Freestyle.
No legs. Yeah, that was awesome!
Now I go cleaning windows, to earning on this ball. Foreign knows his counter, it's an interesting job.
Somewhere in another time, a new evil rises. The dead become the living. Unheard of beasts emerge. Existence itself is threatened. 4 have been summoned. Together you have a chance. Alone you have none. Battle 1. Fight!
レーザーで撃ち落としてください。
Hey, nice. Oh, that's just beautiful.
Don't hurt me!
Rocket. Plenty more where that came from. Oh, crap.
to what should be another scintillating event here at the WWE. I'm Jim Ross. Oh my goodness, what a collision! By a bombardment of shots there by Trish Stratus.
100% satisfaction guaranteed.
The Texas rattlesnake blasts away. Trish Stratus continues to shoot away. Trish Stratus continues to pull the trigger.
Don't take it personally. I'm still your hero.
The game is almost there. 10 seconds to go. Steve Austin just snatched the laser-guided rockets. What a collision! I can feel the impact from here. This should make it shooting in all directions. A huge amount of fire by the Rock. Vicious blows there by Bubba Ray Dunn. The Brahma Bull continues to fire away. Intense shooting there. Well, everyone, that about wraps it up.
すがよ。よったな、ボングどもが。入れ伏がいい。これが太平道の奇跡や。
We had StarCraft and then the expansion for that Brood War, which were both real-time strategy games on the PC. And when we were thinking about what kind of game we wanted to make and where we wanted to set it, we really thought, oh wow, StarCraft universe, that would be a great place for us to put it. It's just got such a great history and background. All the different races that are very unique in the way that they play in the strategy game can really present a lot of different and also very unique challenges for players to navigate. And then we thought about, well, who would be our hero, who we're going to have run through the world. The Ghost unit, from the Terran side, really came to mind because there are so many different things that that unit can do. The Ghost is really integral in the storyline of StarCraft, as well as just being an incredibly fun unit to play when you boil it down to controlling just a single unit. From a story perspective, really the Ghosts represent the Terrans, or the people from the far, far descendants of Earth that have some kind of psionic or mental ability. They're the reason that the Zerg, which are kind of this all-encompassing biological menace, first come to find the Terrans because they don't have any psionic ability. They kind of ingest and take the best parts out of other races as they absorb them, and so they wanted to gain that psionic ability from the humans. That's also why then the Protoss, who are the other players in our story, show up because the Zerg are there, and they identify that's why they're there, and they don't want them to have that. So what the Ghost unit represents is kind of why the whole story happens. And then from a gameplay perspective, the Ghost is this great combination of being someone who is trained to just the heights of ability, both mentally and physically, and has everything from just like the cool ability to kind of cloak herself with their mind to being able to see everything in all these different spectrums, being able to move at hyper speeds because she's so physically well trained, and then just has all this like really incredibly fun pieces of technology and equipment she gets to use, up to and including calling down nuclear strikes. Nova kind of represents a Ghost who's going through the program, has been involved with this branch of the Terran military since she was very young, and she's just not really working out like her handler, whose name is Haller, is envisioned. He kind of wanted to make her his protege, knew that she would be the one that would maybe someday take over for him, and she doesn't really quite anymore exactly follow with what he wants to have happen. So one of the things that we do to grow the character throughout the game, and then also through the storyline, is Haller kind of lets her know that, you know, there's maybe some more that she could really do with her mind than she knows that she can. We kind of find out that the way that the ghosts are handled, the way that they're kind of manipulated in a way, is that they have psionic dampeners. That's one of the ways that the Terran military controls them. And so Haller lets her know that, you know, those aren't necessarily permanent things. They can be overcome. And so as she continues to do what he wants her to do, it's really always under that carrot that's kind of dangled in front of her, that she's going to become a little less controlled and maybe a little more of what she could maybe want to be for herself. And so it's a really nice growth path for the character in terms of the story, and then also a great gameplay mechanic for us to introduce more and more abilities as the player moves along through the game. There's definitely elements within the Terrans that have different agendas than the ruling class, and so there are times where she's got to deal with Terrans as well. And certainly, in many cases, she has a big upper hand against kind of your normal everyday grunt marine and fire bats. When she has to fight the Protoss, they definitely provide a very different challenge. They easily have a same level or even higher at times of psionic abilities that she does. And they also kind of have that advantage of though they at times can be a little frailer of form, they have energy shields they get to kick on, and these great, actually taking their psionic abilities to levels to actually project them into weapons of psionic power. And so it'll be really interesting, I think, for players when they get there, just like it was in the strategy titles, of where you've got to change your tactics around. Now you're facing a completely different kind of enemy that has different strengths and hopefully different weaknesses that you'll be able to exploit as well. The ones we showed today in the demo, we've got you on Marsara, which was really where kind of some of the first battles happened. It's where the Zerg really first appeared in the StarCraft storyline, and it's one of the places we kind of start you in our story as well. Though right now it's kind of become a continual battlefield and becoming more of a stronghold for the Zerg in this sector of space. We also take you to Ire, which is the Protoss homeworld. We really wanted to show a lot of different environments. That's one thing we felt we could do that was really different in our game than a lot of these types of kind of tactical, stealthy action games, is to give you a lot of different places you go that provide a lot of different visions of the universe that we've built. So you'll get to see where the Protoss come from, really explore it. Of course, not only do you have the Protoss there, but all their technologies there too. So having to sneak past a camera that's there to detect your movement in a Terran base, now you've got these big proton cannons that are out there that are ready to blast you, to the other side of the galaxy if you're not careful, if you don't, get around them or find ways to disarm them. There are several more places that we're going to take players, and we really want to use it to not only follow the storyline of what we're doing, but really to give a lot of different kind of fun and exciting play environments, things that are as compact as like being inside of like a Terran science facility, to even being out in huge, massive battlefields. We have a kind of two ways to use vehicles. One is through call downs. Call downs are something that's very unique to the Ghost in the real-time strategy game, where she can basically use or pass along information, and then also use these abilities of other units. We'll be able to do things like call down irradiation beams from science vessels, which are great against organic targets in large open areas. Being able to call down different types of vehicles like siege tanks, even things like being able to target aerial units and then calling a Yamato strike, a cannon strike against them, or even kind of the big one, which is the one that's a little dangerous to use. You got to be in just the right spot, is to call down a nuke strike in a battlefield. So we wanted to have that element of vehicles in that way. You could bring dropships in to drop stuff off, bring in siege tanks in specific places to provide support. We also wanted to have a couple of vehicles you could get into. Nova will be able to use the Vulture hover bikes, which not only give her a lot of different speed of movement in areas that she'll probably be able to get to, because it does hover that maybe she wouldn't be able to get to on her own, but of course also they come equipped with spider mines, so there's a little tactical element on where you can put those. And then we're also going to let her get inside of a Goliath, which is kind of our light assault walker vehicle, which is great, good against ground and air units. And those are really fun. They play very differently. They're easy to play, and it just gives you this whole different level of firepower or mobility depending on what you're in. Some of those will be special things you get to use maybe one time, but we do also want to make those a part of unlocking what she can do. I mean, I think definitely we'll have to build the levels a couple different ways at times to know whether you've received the ability yet or not. If you haven't earned it yet, then it's got to play one way. If you have earned it, you can play a different way. And build a level to be very balanced that way, and then add on, as we continue to build the level, all these really just at times kind of like crazy ways you can approach the level, and then try to reward players in different ways for taking those. I know a lot of people just like to get in there and just really do the run and gun thing, and we want there to be an element of that so players get a feeling for that. That's certainly where things like jumping the Goliath is great. It's a great outlet if you're like, man, I've had to be sneaky and stealthy for the last 2 hours, and I just want to get in and just blow the crap out of something, right? And you're like, okay, great. And then right about then is when we want you to find that Goliath and hop in it and just to, taking Zergs out like 10, 20 at a time, and that'll be the idea of that level. And so we do want to build that in, but balance is something that is really difficult and something that is always a challenge, and no matter what kind of game we're doing. So we just kind of want to apply, everything we've learned balance-wise from, like the strategy games, the role-playing games we've done, and put that same kind of concept into this game where, it's built for a certain level of success a certain way, and then we get to basically kind of play with that balance the more that you go in it. The biggest incentive you get is you get to do it with somebody else, and that's kind of an intangible that you don't necessarily build in as a specific gameplay reward, but you get to try a lot of different stuff when there's two of you, and so that is part of the reward. Also, really what we want to do is to look at if we do things like co-op plays, like, well, how would we change the map? How would we make this a little different if there was another player? Nova goes someplace and does something, and the door unlocks, for example, right? Now in the two-player level, in the cooperative level of that, it's like, you have to be doing this while I'm doing this. We both have to have met our objectives, and now that door unlocks. Or even things like, if you were racing through an area, and doing things on your hover bike, well, that's going to be great, but imagine there's two of you, you're kind of like racing at the same time, and, we can even put in things like there's certain power-ups that show up, and whoever gets there first, and like those, then it kind of becomes this fun, challenging element. So I think a lot of that, too, will be once the single player is really dialed in and feels right, then we can go back through those levels and say, okay, now what little thing we're going to add here? What are we going to change? How are we going to alter this level a little bit to make it really fun for two people? The thing that's kind of exciting actually for us is that we've never had like a single character that's focused on. When we did Brood War, which was the expansion set for the strategy game for StarCraft, one of the biggest comments we got back is that it was for Kerrigan. Everybody said like, "Oh man, you got this villainous," and she was on the box cover, and everybody just was like all about Kerrigan. Man, she's so cool. And we realized, we really never have that in a game where we've kind of got this one identifiable character. So for us, we do want to kind of create Nova, who is a recognizable character, someone who we do put a lot of focus on. So many times games that have a lot of focus on like stealthy or tactical, action stuff, it's kind of you against everybody, and you don't feel like you're really part of the bigger scope. And one of the things that we really want to push in Ghost is that there are times where you're out there and you're one of like about 150 people in this battle. And you have your important part, your important role to play. But at the same time, there's stuff going on around you that you really don't control, and it's just happening. We've even talked about having some levels where you could sit back and just kind of watch this battle unfold and not really do anything. But after a while, your side would lose because you didn't do anything. But within that mix, there's all these different elements that are happening. Everybody has their role that they're playing, but yours just happens to be a little more important. The StarCraft universe is something we've been working on for a long time, so it's really full. We've had 3 novels written about it, got more on the way, we've done action figures, we spent a ton of time working about where we would go with the storyline, and so when this project came up, it was really exciting to our story guys and our creative director in the company to know that they're going to really jump right back in and kind of take a really focused look at a chunk of time within within the StarCraft universe. We're going to make sure that you don't have to have played the PC titles. So of course, if people want to go buy them now to get ready for them, we don't have a problem with that. But we don't want to require that you've done that. We try to never do that with any of the sequels or anything. We want you to play that game, and it's a complete experience there. The real benefit, I think, to players is that we know how everything works. We know how it all interacts. They're going to be right in the middle of this complete, huge, fully functioning world and get pulled right into it. And I think that the way that we've built the StarCraft universe and with these three very unique races, we get a lot of that. And I think that it's going to not only be a really fun game to play, but I think one of the big goals is that when you're done, it's like you've just seen a great movie. You're like, wow, man, that story was so cool.
Since we got the first idea of making this game, it's been almost 2 years now. But we started out, writing little plots, coming up with ideas and scenarios for the game, and we've been around the world, everywhere. Every city been thought of as the stage. But we came up with New York because we wanted to give people something that they could sort of rely to. People that are going to buy this game are living in Europe or in America, and everybody knows New York as that's a city that they can in some way relate to. Then we thought it'd be really, really fun to give the Americans a war in their own backyard. And at that time we thought it was interesting to give them a war where the skyscrapers would, just fall down and, give them something that would never occur in real life. But still it is much more than what will ever happen in real life. Then we looked a lot into films like all the Mel Gibson films, where he is this good ordinary Joe. He doesn't really want to get involved in anything, but they force him into it, and eventually he has to take a stand. Mel Gibson and Bruce Willis is probably the characters that we've been looking into. Movies like Braveheart or The Patriot, or it's basically the same story. The levels are interconnected in a way. The primary targets on all the levels, that's what you have to take out in order to complete a level. The secondary targets, you don't have to take out the secondary targets in order to complete a level. But secondary targets in one zone is affecting how things work in the zone that leads up to this zone that you're in. So that means that you can actually go into a level and find a helicopter refueling station. If you take that out, you won't have helicopters annoying you anymore around the primary target in another zone. The game is divided into different chapters. Each chapter has different zones that you can choose which zone to take. There are 8 chapters, and there are 14 zones in all. Really depends on who you are. A lot of people at the office, they like to play the game just having the guys follow you, just run through the levels. When they see the zombies, they just send them off. A lot of them get killed then. Other people like to play it by sneaking around, finding rooftops or apartments that you can sneak into, so you can stand, in the shade and just very precise plot the positions out. And it's really open to you how you want to play the game. Gain charisma levels as you progress through the game by blowing up Soviet installations, taking Soviet bases, and so on and so on. We're actually sure that you'll be able to have more and more freedom fighters with you as you progress. Once the freedom fighters they they get shot, they will stay wounded for a while, and you can actually recover them by giving them health packs. If they die, you don't lose your charisma points. You don't lose them when you lose a guy. So you can go out on the level and try to find other freedom fighters scattered around on the level and have them follow you. You get rocket launchers, you have grenades and molotovs also. Vehicles, if they are not armored, they get affected even by bullets if you just keep on shooting at it. Or if you set fire to the vehicle, it eventually will blow up after been burning for a while. But armored vehicles and helicopters, the hind helicopters and stuff like that, won't break to pieces just from bullets. We've been looking a lot into actually a lot of PC games that all the squad-based PC games that have been converted to the consoles. And we thought that none of them was converted really successful, because it's very obvious that you need the keyboard in order to make the game work. So we tried to make a game where you could control your fighters and have that, constant pace in the game just by using a game controller. It's the same engine as Hitman, yeah. It is improved because it's been a while since we released Hitman 2, so we had some time to improve the engine so we can have more polygons, and we can have even more textures in the memory, because we can pack things better now than what we could at that time. Light sources also been improved, stuff like that. Little things that people will see if they compare the two titles. We call it the Glacier engine, but still we're just constantly improving on that engine. For instance, in Hitman 3 we will possibly have per pixel shading and stuff like that. That is not something you normally see on the PlayStation. He is Chris, and he's a plumber, and he's a good guy. Yeah, he's fixing a sink in the beginning of the game, and that's all the sink fixing you get. After that, he's sort of moving into a new trade. There are buildings that are very close to the Chrysler building, the Flatiron building, the buildings that people would recognize. They always placed somewhere in the backdrop, so you won't be able to enter the Chrysler building or whatever. But there are things that make you believe that this is New York, or at least some version of New York. There's a big television station close to the end in the game that is placed in an area that is very, very similar to Times Square, but it is not Times Square, and the streets are not divided in the same way as they are on Times Square, just to avoid the people being able to actually blow up buildings that do exist, because all of a sudden it doesn't seem that fun anymore. From every mission that he has been out on, he retreats to the underground, to the New York underground. That's where they have the rebel base. And when he's in the underground, there will be freedom fighters down there. There's one special character called Isabella, who is sort of his mentor. She is telling him how to go through the different levels, what to do, how to use the different weapons, how to, recruit freedom fighters, how his charisma is working, and so on and so on. And she's sort of also telling the story as it goes along once you're in the rebel base. You can walk around when you're down there. It's not a cut sequence that you have to just sit and watch. Like it's not endless hours of cut sequences like Metal Gear Solid or something like that. But it's always occurring when there's no immediate threat to you, or you don't have to shoot.
やば。
ガガゼトで発見された遺跡でお宝スフィア反応だ。
やった
ガガゼトゲー10倍。
ユウナ。
大丈夫か。
大丈夫はない。腕の見せ所だね。
逃げる時間をやったのにさ。
よっしゃ。やっぱりいると思ったんだよね。
来るよ。嫌な形だ。
手加減なし。
閉めてやる。
That's right, folks.
Hi, I'm Ed.
This is Johnny. This is Dan D.
This is Dan G. And this is MBS Street.
2.
Indeed. world of difference from the first one.
2 being the second in the series, and a lot in the first in the series. The first game was initially quite dazzling and quite impressive, but when you played it through for a couple of goes, you thought, yeah, pretty bored of this. But this game actually seems to have a lot more depth to it.
It's worth remarking on this quote here, which is featured in the film Finding Forrester with Sean Connery. It makes the game actually saw Finding Forrester and what a lovely basketball court, and they've recreated it exactly.
How the devil do you know that?
That's what happens when you get chatting to people that make video games, and they tell you things like that.
Well.
Yes. But, rest of the game, fantastic. I don't particularly like proper basketball games, but I do like NBA Street because it's really, really easy. More than any other basketball game, it's all a matter of you play it's your turn to have a go at scoring, and then it's their turn to have a go at scoring, and whoever fails to score is the loser. You really do sort of trade shots one against the other all the way through.
Yeah, what they've done this time, they've made the players feel really individual. So it's not just a case of like getting 3 like 9-foot bean poles and that you score every time and can block everything. Now you really do need the little tricky players who can do the little roll around in the floor tricks, and you need a good mixture of players all the way through. Makes it a lot better game. It's much more balanced.
Very good commentary as well.
A fantastic commentary.
A man who never repeats himself. Music. 3000. That's quite a number of years early.
That's right, it's 2,998 times better than Music 2.
Okay. It's good, isn't it? The one thing I think about the music games, and it's always happened with all the music games, is very, very complicated. A lot of every single button on the pad being used, and the process of getting something out of your mind through the PS2 and then back into your ears is very, very complicated. It will drive most people a little bit balmy.
But this is what they've worked on quite acutely, and that they've developed this little USB whistle mic where you can go, and the next thing you know, you're listening to DJ Sammy or something.
It's a bit hit and miss, though.
It's a wee bit hit and miss, and that, as we said in the review last month, we tried to whistle the Eminem song, and it came out like the Benny Hill theme tune.
It's all right. I think it's a great improvement on the previous one, but it's just never quite as good as you think it's going to be, I don't think. And
especially when you come to the video
and
editing.
The video graphic.
Yeah, they've improved though. It's a lot better than the last time. Those 3D shapes. I mean,
yeah, but I mean, if you had
look at that, it's an actual.
If you saw a song, saw a song with that, I mean, that's saying go out and buy this song now.
It's not top of the pops, but I mean, if this was obviously it isn't. But if we were living back in the early 90s, brilliant.
This is a Odyssey Gear X.
Now this is going to be hard to explain.
Going insane.
We need Joel. Joel,
come back. We need Joel to defend his 85% score. 84%.
Yeah, you see, Joel reviewed this, and he's a bit mad for the beat 'em up genre, and the 2D beat 'em up genre is live and well and living in Joel's head. No, very good, well done. I don't want to play this.
It's very, very nice looking game though, isn't it? It's very well respected, especially in Japan.
It's
still a 2D beat 'em up.
Yeah, quality. It's things have marched on a bit. I do like in 2D beat 'em ups, the special moves are that bit more special than in a genuine sort of like full-on 3D.
There's always that capacity for total insanity with 2D beat 'em ups, whereas
things exploding, things firing out of people's eyes and stuff. It doesn't really happen.
Yeah, compared to say like the po-faced technical insanity of Virtua Fighter 4, this is quite a refreshing change where you can like throw a tremendous great piano on someone's head, for example, or it's got a sense of humour, which you've got to say is a good thing, even if it is a 2D beat 'em up.
But yeah, old school. 84%. Do bear in mind that's 84% for people who like 2D beat 'em ups. Really.
Yeah, all two of you. This is great.
You're gonna love it.
Yeah.
The rest of us, I think, on the beat 'em up front, you're better off with Evo.
Mortal Kombat at the moment.
MK, better Tekken 4 perhaps. Not this.
Just what you needed, another light gun game, but this time
Just like Jesse
in the Wild West.
Yes.
Well, what can you say about this?
Not an awful lot.
It's an average light gun game with a dodge function, but yeah, you're up against cowboys.
Yeah. So Time Crisis in the Wild West.
Time Crisis back in time.
I mean, that was good.
Yeah. No. Who's developing this?
Rebellion, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah. This is a little bit of one of those blink your eyes and before you can say review code is that in the shops, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is the game they didn't want us to review.
It looks alright. It does. I mean, look at it. It looks okay. Things have been moving about. It's too much like Time Crisis.
I mean, if you've invested in a gun con, then you know you're going to be looking forward to anything that comes along that means you can use it. I mean, if you actually enjoy using it. So
there's various mini games in that as well.
Or if you really like cowboys.
We've reached that stage now, clearly, of like granny tricking saturation, where they can just throw anything on the shelves and hope that someone's going to pick it up. Not saying this title necessarily is one of those games.
Hey, look at that. Bit of variety. Kinda.
I'm on a wagon.
I thought just flying sideways.
I'm glad you said you're on a wagon. I was trying to figure out what the mode of transport was
going on.
And here we are, one of the mini games. Shoot some bottles.
Okay.
Brilliant.
Does the barman give you a shot of red eye if you win?
No.
Okay.
This should be Choplifter then.
Oh.
Ah, yes, Choplifter.
Process of lifting chops.
Yeah. Big lamb chops, pork chops.
They're all in here.
Yeah, not on these screens here, but they do exist, honest.
Hungry man lost his chops. You got to get yourself in there in your helicopter.
It's another one of those.
Pick him up, winch them to safety.
Yeah.
It's another one of those flight sims that make full use of the analog controls as well. So you spend your whole life.
Oh, this bit's rubbish.
Trying to figure out what's going on.
This bit's the bit where you're kind of chasing a car.
You just have to keep it in your spotlight.
Yeah, it's like the fairgrounds, the old granny's fairground thing with the wire moving the loop of wire along the curly bit of wire without it buzzing. Like that, only in a video game with helicopters.
They always make the interface difficult. It's never made easy.
Yeah, it's just got to keep the thing in your spotlight. Too far. Oh no, it's getting away. No, that's not what fun is.
So this is a non-combat helicopter scene.
You just drive through hoops.
Look at that.
A bit like pilot wings or something.
Well, no, Sky Odyssey's like the last nearest and dearest, and that was pretty good. And this is just frustrating.
Sully's the good name of Choplifter.
If you want non-combat helicopter sim, can I just say City Crisis?
Yeah,
that's
not bad.
Not bad at all.
Yeah,
better than that. I've heard a lot of this. Shinobi.
Yeah.
No.
Really?
Yeah, I think no as well.
What's wrong with it?
It's the hardest game in the world. No, it's got some terrible jumps where if you do a jump and you don't do it, rather than just falling down to the lower level and having to run back up the stairs again, you die and you have to start the level again. And in the midst of fighting things like this coming at you, you fall off an edge, you have to start again. That combined with it being very, very repetitive, I mean, really, yes, kill all these things, run on a little bit more, kill some more things.
Look at that scarf, though. That's lovely.
Yeah, the scarf is... That is without doubt the best thing about it. Things like don't let it be hit in the front, they prefer to be hit in the back, so you have to run around them. It's just... No, I didn't like it at all. I think Joel sort of quite liked it. I mean, 75% is I think it's overly generous. I would have given it 67.
Given the choice, he would be a ninja. So I think that, it's very tight. It's very Sega. It gives you a skill set. You learn it, and then it's constantly stretching the limits of what you know and having to combine things. And as a result, it's quite a gamer's game, but
kind of a wasted opportunity, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, well, when we were doing Shinobi, so
we got very excited. Yeah,
I remember that. Fantastic.
This is
reminds me
NFL
of
2K3.
Oh.
mid 80s and crap Channel 4 TV.
Back in the days when they had nothing to put on Channel 4, they hadn't thought of doing all these strange sexual documentaries and stuff. Back in those days, it was the Paul Hogan show and American football. So it takes you back.
And sumo.
Hey, brilliant, fantastic. Late night poker. Oh, that's still doing it. Fine, good. Not as good as the Electronic Arts Madden.
That's the thing, isn't it? If you're going to buy one of these, are you going to buy this or are you going to buy Madden?
Yeah. It's good though. It's good. It's all right, but I mean, there is no space in the UK for the second best American football game.
No.
So Madden. Fine, good, looks good. Looks a lot like the Dreamcast versions that Sega used to knock out every year, which at the time were very impressive. But it hasn't moved on at all. And Electronic Arts they're just the kings of this kind of thing. So so much as it sticks in our throat to say, they are. Yeah, they know exactly what they're doing.
Well, I mean, the Madden game's always been pretty traditionally strong, really good game engine, and they've just got the panache to make it shinier and more authentic.
So, American football fans. Are there still American football fans? Still watching Channel 4? Super Bowl, middle of the night? They must be out there somewhere. Yeah.
Well, the London Monarchs, I'm sure they've still got a following.
The Birmingham whatevers.
Birmingham 6.
No. Yeah. No, they're going to love it. Guildford 4. No, what am I saying?
This is basketball without any sort of street at all.
This is NBA 2K3.
Oh my goodness me.
Sega.
And, well...
Look at it. Perfectly fine.
I mean, is there a small hardcore of, gamers who just religiously buy every single basketball game out there? I really can't see, even with the old street, that who this appeals to.
The old when they were doing DC stuff, the Sega ones are always quite well thought of. American market and very, very limited UK market. It's just about worth their while to stick 5,000 copies into shops.
I suppose with this,
they make a little bit of money on it.
You got the full team, the full license, and everything like that. If you're a full fan.
Yeah, a good, accurate basketball game if you're a fan. But I think once again there are as many basketball fans possibly as there are 2D beat 'em up fans. So
I think if you're into the sport, or if you're not into the sport, you'd have more fun with Street than this. Friend of mine isn't into basketball. I say that because he isn't into basketball, and he does play Street, but doesn't play the more serious
absolutely
stuff.
right.
Because and ultimately, they could just put anybody in. I love it when they say all the new teams, all the right players and stuff, and you kind of, we'll just take your word for it, because short of the big stars, a lot of these guys don't know them from Adam. So.
I guess it's just I'm going to generalise crassly if I say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. 5 very tall, bald men throwing a ball around.
No.
Tour of the World.
Man's inhumanity to man.
It's
in video game form.
A band who get warped into another dimension where scooters. Here we go.
Johnny, it's not real.
Act like no, it is, and
let it go.
It made me cry.
This looks Welwick. Have you seen this?
No, look, those little scooters.
It's not Tony Hawk's, is it?
How irritating!
It's never nothing. It's not even Roger Hawks. I didn't enjoy this at all, and I think the thing that annoyed me most was that it's kind of coming across as being quite clean and clever, but the frame rate is atrocious in places. When you've really got a couple of there's boss battles and things like that, but.
Well, we really are cranking through my favourite sports at no uncertain rate here, aren't we?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what made me think a lot more about this recently was I saw some shots of one of the cheat modes unlocked, which was Mr. Driller. Mr. Driller on a Mr. Driller motorbike. And I thought, well,
on a drill.
could I be bothered to play long enough to unlock Mr. Driller? And I thought maybe
there's Klonoa in the other ones, isn't it? Klonoa.
That's right. Yeah, with his ears flat.
Yeah, those household names: Klonoa and Mr. Driller.
Yeah.
To me, this looks really, really nice.
Well, it is beautiful, isn't it? Two ways about it. But
the best thing, I mean, the MotoGP stuff. Because remember when it was out quite sort of early on. The first one was quite out early on in the PlayStation 2's life over here, and Ridge Racer. Everyone was very disillusioned and fed up with Ridge Racer, and it was good that MotoGP had a totally different handling type thing where just having to slow down for the corners, and your speed really affects the arc of your swinging around in the corners and stuff. And so a whole new discipline for a driving game, basically.
And still beautiful weather effects, you know.
Blazes
a little shaky cam. Look at that cam. Wicked.
No, it's a good looking thing.
As for as for improvements over MotoGP's 1 and 2, I don't know. I think the other two look fantastic to me. This looks similarly good.
Yeah, it's a bike going around a track, really, isn't it?
It's got
all the updated stats and everything in the ride.
If you fancy a change from driving cars, you can drive motorbikes. I think 74 is a bit harsh, but that's probably recognising the fact that it hasn't particularly moved on at all.
Did you wait long? I am the winner!
Get ready, fire!
Hello.
I am the winner!
Get ready, fire!
This is not the...
Here I come!
I am the winner!
Get ready, fire! Winner! Get out of my way!
I am the winner!
Get ready, fire!
I'm coming. I am the winner!
Get ready, fight! Crazy! Winner!
You can't stand in my way.
I am the winner!
Get ready, fight!
I see him. Man down, man down! Man down, man down! I see him. He's in the hangar. Intruder spotted. I see him. Intruder spotted. I see him. Intruder spotted. I'm it!
obviously hundreds of people involved on the technology side, both inside and outside the company. That one of the things about the PlayStation approach on technology generally, but particularly in the network area, is it's very open. We haven't got all the answers internally, and we're not trying to tell the development community exactly how they should attack this area. So many developers are developing their own network technologies and approaches, and what we're trying to do is ensure that there is a core of technology available for our internal studios, and that technology is also available to external developers if they feel they don't want to get really into low-level technology development. A good example of that would be the SCRT middleware for network gaming, which is a kind of suite of enabling technologies. We use it in many titles, and if a third party wants a kind of bunk up or a ready-made solution, then it's there for them to use. So it's a kind of open solution where we've got enablement and technology solutions for people, but not mandated, which means that outside of the internal Sony world, there are a large number of people developing their own network technologies. The same kind of philosophy applies in relation to the server technologies, the community technologies and hosting solutions, where we have our infrastructure and we will help other people and support them with our infrastructure, but it's perfectly open for developers and publishers to establish their own solutions. In the US, for example, the model has been that the publisher of the product has taken responsibility for the server, actual server management, and similarly in Japan, Square is running its servers for Final Fantasy, etc. And over here we'll have servers for our own product, but we also have very active discussions with third parties that if they find the European environment very difficult in terms of network infrastructure, then we will help them, and our facilities are available to them. So it's kind of not mandatory, but it's there for them if they need some help. Going back to the old days, I joined Sony at the start of PlayStation 1, just before its launch. I guess if you'd asked the same question about PlayStation 1, we would have had to say that gaming was niche, but yes, it will be mass market. And I think I'd have to give the same answer now about network gaming. We have to accept it isn't something that every man in the street goes home and does. Where we see network connection in terms of gaming is that it's an enhancement. It allows us to do things with games and offer things to consumers which we can't do now. So as people touch and feel those additional experiences, we think it'll be more and more common for people to decide that it's worthwhile to connect their console up to their network. I think it'll open up new genres. If we kind of stop and fast forward 6 months, what we will see is that there are experiences for consumers which they've never been able to have on a console, and to some extent never been able to have in the same way, even on a PC. I think that's beginning to happen with team-based gaming like SOCOM. And one of the interesting things in SOCOM is you can actually have a team of people talking to each other, working collaboratively. And the interesting thing about that is there's an element of skill set developing there, which is about collaborating with other people who you can't see but you can speak to. So I find that an area which is going to evolve, because people will get better and better at collaborating, and will want to collaborate in more and more complex and challenging ways. Just just look at the PS2 as it is now, it does an awful lot of things. It doesn't make your tea in the morning, but it will play your DVDs. Many people forget that it's actually quite a good CD player. So it already does more than gaming. But its primary focus and the reason for purchase of a PS2 is gaming. As the console evolves and as new generation consoles come in the future, we can see that the kind of suite of things that you can do as well as PlayStation games will evolve. And as formats for music and movies evolve and the way people want to see movies and music and experience those forms of entertainment evolve, the kind of suite of additional things with PlayStation that you've got now will need to evolve as well. So we will, over time, see people doing more and more things. I think there's something more fundamental, though, as well, that's emerging in relation to the PlayStation world and PlayStation development, which is that gaming is evolving into areas which are on the fringes of gaming. We're seeing music products. We will see probably more and more movie-related products. And so we'll see mixing, and we've already seen a few music products. We're seeing more and more of those. So those, I think, are the exciting areas. I mean, the downloading of tracks is something that's very popular already. So there are important issues of security, where perhaps consoles are very capable of offering security. If we move over sort of halfway across the world to Japan, it's always a good place to look to find out where we might be heading. We can see there already that the 200,000 or so people with hard disks and something called a broadband navigator are able to operate kind of movie channels. They are able to do some photo editing activity, photo management activity. All of these things are very regional in terms of their appeal. So there are lots of things that can be done. And I guess at the end of the day, the consumer will dictate which ones become popular in that area. I think at the moment the picture in Europe for broadband is very patchy. If you look at Europe overall, there are about 12 million broadband homes, which is a lot more than there were a year ago. So we're kind of seeing a very rapid increase in the uptake of broadband. In Germany now there are far more broadband homes than narrowband homes. And that's true even when you take into account some of the legacy technology in East Germany. So it's fairly dramatic in Germany, in Scandinavia, in Switzerland, in Austria. And it's happening at a slower pace in France and Spain and Italy and the UK, but it is happening. Is broadband a technology which is coming into sort of the mainstream? I think it is. It's a bit like where DVD was a couple of years back. It is moving into the mainstream. And that kind of probably leads us into one of the other questions as to why we've gone into the broadband route, because we do perceive it as being the way, the sort of the preferred method of connection to the internet. I wouldn't say it was a launch pad. It's the place we're starting first, but Germany's not very far behind. It's a question of weeks. There are localization issues, and there are also very clearly the UK is our most successful market. We have always had more PlayStations here than anywhere else in Europe. So you have to cross over the market with also the number of broadband homes. The UK has also grown very quickly. And in our discussions with the new UK networks, their analysis of their customer base is that a huge number of their customers have PlayStations, so we see a very strong overlap between the early adopter PlayStation market, which is now moving to mass market, and the early adopter broadband market, which is just getting there.